She announced, "I'm pregnant, and yes, it's yours." After we'd been apart for months, I said, "Impossible." When I showed her my vasectomy papers from 2 years ago that I'd never mentioned, the story changed instantly. I, 34 male, am sitting here with a glass of whiskey, still processing what went down yesterday. Never expected to be in this position, but here we are. My ex, Veronica, 31, and I dated for about 3 years. Broke up 4 months ago. It wasn't dramatic, we just grew apart. She wanted marriage and kids immediately. I wasn't ready for that timeline. We ended things mutually, or so I thought. She moved out of my apartment, we divided our stuff, blocked each other on social media for a clean break. Standard breakup protocol. Yesterday morning, she shows up at my workplace. Just appeared in the lobby as I'm heading out for lunch. Looking good, I'll admit. Hair done, nice dress, the works. "Derek, we need to talk, it's important." I suggested the coffee shop across the street. Public place seemed smart. We sit down, I order my usual, she gets herbal tea. Red flag number 1, Veronica was a triple shot espresso kind of person. She takes this deep breath, reaches across the table to grab my hand I pulled back, and drops the bomb. "I'm pregnant, 12 weeks, and yes, before you ask, it's definitely yours." My brain just stopped. Did the math. 12 weeks meant she got pregnant right before or right after we broke up. Except we hadn't been intimate for at least 2 weeks before the breakup because of a business trip I was on. "That's impossible," I said. She immediately launched into this whole speech. How she'd tracked her cycle, how the timing matched perfectly with our last time together, it didn't, how she'd been completely celibate since the breakup because she was so heartbroken. Even pulled out an ultrasound photo, waving it around like evidence. "Derek, I know this is shocking, but we're having a baby. We need to figure this out. I'm thinking we should try again for the baby's sake." That's when I laughed. Not a mean laugh, just couldn't help it. The audacity. "Veronica, that's literally impossible. Why do you keep saying that? Are you calling me a liar?" "No, I'm calling you pregnant with someone else's baby." Her face went red. Started raising her voice about responsibility and manning up. The coffee shop was getting uncomfortable. People were staring. So I pulled out my phone, went to my medical records app, scrolled to a document I'd never had reason to show her before, turned the screen toward her. Vasectomy certificate. 2 years ago. Follow-up confirmation, 0 sperm count. The silence was loud. Her face went from red to white in about 2 seconds. She grabbed my phone, staring at the document like it might change if she looked hard enough. You never told me." "Never came up. You were on birth control, said you didn't want kids until after marriage. I figured I'd mention it when it became relevant. But I'm pregnant." "Congratulations, but it's not mine." She tried to recover, stumbling over words about how vasectomies can fail. Maybe I should get tested again. I pulled up the second document, my annual checkup from 3 months ago, still shooting blanks. "You need to leave," I said, standing up. "Derek, please, I can explain." "No need. Good luck with everything." Left her there with the untouched herbal tea and walked back to work. Thought that was the end of it. Boy, was I wrong. Update 1. So, remember how I thought that was the end? Universe had other plans. First, let me address some comments. Yes, I probably should have disclosed the vasectomy earlier in the relationship. Fair point. But we both agreed we didn't want kids during our time together. She was on birth control, and honestly, it was my medical decision from before I even met her. Didn't think it was immediately relevant. Anyway, the entitlement parade started almost immediately. That same evening after the coffee shop, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Is this Derek? Who's this?" "This is Patricia, Veronica's mother." Oh boy. Patricia launched into this whole thing about how I'd humiliated her daughter and abandoned my responsibilities. I tried to explain the situation calmly, that it was biologically impossible for me to be the father. Vasectomies can reverse themselves. You need to take a paternity test. "Patricia, I've had annual checks. I'm sterile. The baby isn't mine. You're just trying to wiggle out of this. My daughter isn't some slut who sleeps around. I never said she was. I'm just stating medical facts." Then she hit me with this gem. "If you ever loved her, you'd step up regardless. That's not how any of this works. A real man would take responsibility. A real man wouldn't claim a child that isn't his. Please don't contact me again. Hung up, blocked the number. 20 minutes later, Veronica's sister, Melanie, starts blowing up my social media. I'd forgotten to block her. Messages ranged from, "You're trash," to "Veronica is devastated," to "The least you can do is help financially until she figures things out." The least I could do? For a baby that isn't mine? The entitlement was staggering. But the real kicker came the next morning. I get a text from Veronica from a new number. "I know you're upset, but can we please talk? I made a mistake." A mistake, that's what we're calling it now. I didn't respond, but she kept texting. "It was just one time. I was lonely. You were always working. It didn't mean anything. But I want this baby to have a father. You'd be a great dad. Please don't punish an innocent child." That last one almost made me throw my phone. Punish? The mental gymnastics were Olympic level. Then came the voicemail from her father, Richard. This man, who I'd shared maybe 10 words with in 3 years, suddenly had opinions. "Derek, Dick here. Yes, he called himself Dick. Man to man, you need to do the right thing. Veronica made a mistake, sure, but walking away makes you just as bad. She picked you to be with. That means something. Don't be a coward." A coward? For not raising another man's child. The math wasn't mathing. But yesterday was when things got really interesting. Veronica showed up at my apartment with her best friend, Nadia. They'd clearly rehearsed this whole intervention. Nadia was there as moral support, but really just to gang up on me. "Derek, we need to have an adult conversation," Veronica started. "There's nothing to discuss. You're pregnant with someone else's child. I wish you well. But you're the one I want to raise it with." Nadia jumped in. "She chose you, Derek. That should mean something. She also chose to sleep with someone else. It was one mistake." Veronica was getting teary. "I don't even remember his name." "You don't remember his name?" It was at Melody's bachelorette party. Things got out of hand. Melody's bachelorette, that was 5 months ago, a month before we broke up, while we were still together. "You cheated on me." The tears stopped. We were basically over. We were literally living together. Nadia, helpful as ever. "You were emotionally absent. I was at a conference for 4 days. They tried every angle. I'd be denying a child a father figure. I was being selfish." Think of Veronica's reputation. What would people say? Her parents were already attached to the idea of a grandchild. That's when I dropped the second bomb. "You should probably figure out who the actual father is. He has a right to know, and legal obligations." Veronica went pale again. I can't." "Why not?" Silence. Nadia finally whispered, "He's married." There it was. The real reason for this whole charade. She couldn't go after the actual father because he was married. I was the backup plan, the safe option, the sucker who might just go along with it. "You need to leave, both of you, now." They left, but not before Nadia called me heartless and Veronica sobbed about how I was ruining her life. I'm done being nice about this. Time to protect myself legally. Update 2. Alright, the situation has escalated to levels of absurdity I didn't think possible. After my last update, I took y'all's advice and got a lawyer. Just a consultation to understand my options. The lawyer, Mr. Brennan, basically told me I was golden legally. No way they could pin paternity on me with my medical records. But he suggested I document everything just in case. Good thing I did. 3 days ago I get a formal-looking letter. Not legally served, just dropped in my mailbox. It's from some budget legal advisory service, aka not a real law firm, demanding I take a paternity test and cease defaming Veronica's character. Defaming? By stating I'm sterile? Okay then. I forwarded it to Mr. Brennan, who actually laughed. He sent back a cease and desist letter outlining my confirmed sterile status with medical documentation. A timeline showing Veronica admitted to infidelity. A demand that all harassment stop immediately. A note that any further false claims would result in legal action for intentional infliction of emotional distress. The letter was sent to Veronica, her parents, and Melanie since they'd all contacted me. The response was something. First, Patricia called my mother. My 67-year-old mother, who lives 3 states away. How she got the number, I don't know. But she fed my mom this whole sob story about how I was abandoning her pregnant daughter and my responsibilities. My mom, bless her, just said, "My son had a vasectomy years ago. Your daughter needs to find the actual father." Patricia hung up on her. Then Melanie started a social media campaign, posted on every platform about deadbeat men who abandon pregnant women, without naming names but making it obvious enough. Some of our mutual friends started asking questions, so I did something petty. I posted my vasectomy certificate. Just the certificate with the date clearly visible, captioned, "Since 2021. Some accusations require receipts." The comments were gold. People who knew about Veronica's pregnancy immediately connected the dots. The post got shared in our extended circle. Within hours, everyone knew the truth. Veronica went nuclear. Showed up at my workplace again, this time with her mother. Security had to escort them out when they started making a scene in the lobby. My boss was understanding but made it clear this couldn't happen again. But here's where it gets really good. Remember the married guy? While Veronica's social media meltdown caught someone's attention. His wife, Lauren. She reached out to me through a mutual acquaintance. Lauren had suspected something was off when her husband, Garrett, came back from that weekend trip. He'd lied about where he was going. She'd been watching Veronica's posts about the pregnancy, did the math, and put pieces together. She wanted to know what I knew. I told her everything, the timeline, Veronica's admission, the whole circus. Lauren was remarkably calm, thanked me for the information and said she'd handle it. 2 days later, Veronica's tune changed completely. She sent me a long email, new email address since I'd blocked all her others, saying she was sorry for the confusion and would be handling the situation privately going forward. She wanted me to take down my social media post and asked if we could move past this unfortunate misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. She tried to baby trap me with another man's child, but sure, misunderstanding. I didn't respond to the email, but I did hear through the grapevine what happened. Lauren confronted Garrett with receipts. Turns out he wasn't at a work conference that weekend. Lauren had already been documenting his suspicious behavior, and this was the final straw. She filed for divorce and made sure Veronica was named in the paperwork. Garrett, now facing divorce and potential child support, lawyered up immediately. He demanded a paternity test through proper legal channels. Veronica tried to resist but couldn't. Yesterday the results came back. Garrett is the father. Suddenly, Veronica's family went silent. No more calls, no more texts, no more showing up at my work. Patricia and Richard, who were so concerned about the baby having a father, disappeared when the actual father was identified. Melanie deleted all her posts about deadbeat men. But the best part? Garrett's lawyer sent Veronica formal paperwork regarding custody arrangements and child support. Since he's the biological father and wants to be involved, probably to reduce support payments, Veronica now has to deal with him, his lawyer, and his angry soon-to-be ex-wife for the next 18 years minimum. The same woman who called me a coward for not stepping up is now begging Garrett to give up his parental rights. He's refusing. Final update. This will be my last update because, honestly, I'm ready to put this whole chapter behind me. The fallout has been extensive. After Garrett was confirmed as the father, Lauren, his wife, went scorched earth. She didn't just file for divorce, she made sure everyone in their social circle knew exactly why. Turns out Garrett had a pattern of conference trips, and Veronica wasn't his first affair. Lauren hired a forensic accountant who found some interesting spending patterns. Let's just say Garrett's been having a very expensive few weeks. Veronica tried damage control. Posted some vague inspirational quotes about new beginnings and everything happening for a reason. But the damage was done. Our mutual friends had seen her try to manipulate me into raising another man's child. Her reputation took a massive hit. The financial reality also hit her hard. She'd been counting on me, stable job, good income, to support her and the baby. Garrett, currently going through an expensive divorce, about to pay alimony and child support. Not exactly the financial stability she was hoping for. Plus, Lauren's lawyer made sure Veronica was named in the divorce proceedings, which apparently affected her employment. She worked in PR, and this scandal didn't exactly enhance her professional reputation. Patricia reached out one last time through a cousin of mine, wanted me to consider forgiving Veronica, and maybe still being part of the baby's life as a family friend. A family friend. To the child she tried to fraudulently claim was mine. The audacity never ends. I declined through my cousin and made it clear any further contact would result in legal action. The most satisfying part? Last week, I ran into Nadia at a grocery store. She tried to avoid me, but we ended up in the same checkout line. She muttered something about how I could have handled things better. How? I asked. By raising another man's child? By not humiliating her publicly. She humiliated herself when she tried to commit paternity fraud. The cashier's eyes went wide. Nadia left her stuff and walked out. I learned later that Veronica had to move back in with her parents. The apartment she'd gotten after our breakup was beyond her budget without the financial help she'd been expecting from me. Patricia and Richard, who were so eager for me to man up, are now supporting their adult daughter and soon-to-be grandchild. Garrett's trying to establish his rights as a father, partly because his lawyer advised it would look better in his divorce, and partly, I suspect, to spite Veronica. She wanted a baby with a stable partner, and instead got tied to a married cheater going through a messy divorce. As for me, I'm good. Better than good, actually. My boss was impressed with how I handled the situation professionally despite the harassment at work. The whole experience, weird as it sounds, brought me closer to my mom. She's been incredibly supportive and proud of how I stood my ground. I also started dating someone new, Jenna. Met her at a friend's barbecue last week. When the topic of kids came up, I was upfront about the vasectomy. Her response? Thank God I'm child-free too. We're taking things slow, but it's nice being with someone who's honest from the start. Looking back, the red flags were there with Veronica. The pressure about marriage and kids, the emotional manipulation when she didn't get her way, the victim complex. The pregnancy lie was just the culmination of all that. To everyone who says I should have told her about the vasectomy earlier, you're probably right. But you know what? Her trying to baby trap me with another man's child while knowing she'd cheated makes my non-disclosure look like a white lie in comparison. The last I heard, through our mutual social channels, Veronica was trying to work out co-parenting with Garrett while dealing with Lauren's lawyers. The baby's due in about 3 months. That child will have a father, the actual biological one, and Veronica will have to face the consequences of her choices every time she has to coordinate custody schedules with a man whose life she helped destroy. Me? I'm getting on with my life. The vasectomy that I got to prevent exactly this kind of situation did its job perfectly. Sometimes the best revenge isn't something you do. It's simply letting people face the natural consequences of their actions, while protecting yourself with the choices you made years ago. To anyone dealing with similar situations, document everything. Get a lawyer. Don't let anyone guilt you into taking responsibility for their bad decisions. And always, always trust your gut when something doesn't add up. Thanks for following along with this wild ride. I'm closing this chapter and moving forward. And Veronica, if you somehow find this, that vasectomy was the best $800 I ever spent.